resources that will hopefully answer your question as best as I can. So today we're going to talk about screenshots across your devices. So screenshots being screenshots being kind of a picture of what's going on your screen. And then, let's see, got myself a little lost here. Hold on. Sorry. So screenshots across your devices, so taking a picture of what's on your screen, and then talking about screen recording, which is actually being able to take video of what's going on in your screen. And we're going to talk about browser extensions for your laptop or desktop that you can use on pretty much any operating system, as well as screen recording on the iPad. And it looks like we have a fair amount of people on Android, so we're definitely going to cover that as well. So we're going to start with screenshots on computers. And so one of the resources that I have on my website is a keyboard and button shortcut cheat sheet. And you can click on that. And hopefully I set up the sharing so you can access it. Hopefully I didn't mess that up. This will show you, and I know there's a lot to see on here, but this will show you some of the different keyboard shortcuts and button combinations that you can use on your device, depending on whichever type of device you have, to take a screenshot, as well as show you a little bit about where you might be able to find that screenshot once you've taken it. So, so we'll start right off with, for Chromebooks, because I think a lot of our elementary staff is using Chromebooks for their devices. So I should also note on that too, that I've distinguished between a combo that takes a full screen screenshot. So everything that's on your screen when you do it, it will be in that picture, as well as how to select an area on your screen to take a screenshot. So let's say you don't want to take the whole screen, just a part of it, then that's a separate screenshot. So I'm going to pull up I got 3 devices connected here. We're going to pull up this one. We're going to move some stuff around here too. Try to make this as manageable as possible. I had them all set up before and they moved. So this is actually my Chromebook screen that I have up here. And can I minimize these? I guess not. I move it out of the way. There we go. So this is my Chromebook screen. And so as it shows in my slideshow, that the keyboard shortcut to take a full screen screenshot is the control key and the app switcher key. And if you're looking for that key, it's right above the number 6 key on your keyboard. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now on mine. I need to turn my notifications on here so you can see what happens. So I'm going to hold the control key. I usually like to press the control key first and then press the button that goes along with it, because sometimes if you try to do it at the exact same time, it doesn't quite work out. So control and then app switcher. And then you'll see, hopefully here, oh, you know what? My screen has frozen, so I'm gonna have to close this out. Let's close this out and then try it again. My apologies for that. Give me just a second. And a couple of click-throughs here. There we go. All right, let's pop this back on here. I'll move that out of the way. So let's try this again. So I'm going to go control and then app switcher. And then you'll see that I get this little notification in the bottom right corner that I've taken a screenshot. I can click on this and it will actually just open it right in where it takes it, which it puts these in your download folder, just so you're aware of that. Not sure why these keep moving around. And I can just click on it and it will open for me to see. So, and you do have some edit tools that you can use. Why is this doing that? I'm going to that for now. Disconnect those as well. So there we go. I guess that'll work better. So that's my picture. I do have some ability to edit. I can click on the pencil. And I can do some cropping. I can do some resizing and some other things. There's not a lot of of features in here, but let's say you took a full screen screenshot by accident and then you wanted to limit it down to a smaller area. I could use the crop tool. Let's say if I just wanted to get the title in here, I could move, oh, that's definitely not what I wanted to do. And so let's say if I just wanted that to be in my screenshot, I could just do that and then hit done. This checkbox here where it says override original. So once I press done, that original screenshot goes away and it's just this now instead. Though I can, if I make a mistake, I can undo, which is pretty neat. So that is a full screen screenshot. And then we'll close these windows. And then to select an area on your screen, that's going to be Control-Shift app switcher. So you got to press Control and Shift at the same time, and then your app switcher. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Control-Shift app switcher. And you'll see that when that happens, the screen darkens a little bit. I'm seeing that it's not actually capturing my cursor on the screen, but you get like a little crosshair. Your cursor turns into a little crosshair, and then basically you're selecting the area, see now it shows up, that you want to make your screenshot. And so once you have that, then once you let go of your trackpad, then you'll see now that there is my screenshot again. I can click there and it's in my downloads folder, just like the last one is. They all go to your download folder, which is a pretty convenient place to find them. Okay, so that is for your Chromebook, your keyboard shortcuts for your Chromebook. And we're going to talk quickly about Mac OS. So I know a lot of you folks, particularly if you're at the middle school, are using an Apple computer. So same thing, there's two different shortcuts. To take a full screenshot, it's Command-Shift-3. And Command-Shift-3, there we go. And what'll happen is, and it doesn't show up on this screen because this is my second monitor that you're seeing, but on the newer versions, you'll get a little kind of thumbnail of your screenshot in the bottom right corner, and you can actually use that to edit and do annotations. I'll actually do another one here, and then pull that up. So I just clicked on that picture, and then you can see this is my screenshot here. So just so you're aware of that. And those screenshots save on your desktop, right on your desktop, really easy to find, which is cool. And then to take just a partial screenshot, it's Command-Shift-4 instead. So you'll see that there's my crosshair. I can take an area just like this. And then once I let go of my trackpad or my mouse, then same thing, I get that little picture in the bottom right. And you'll see that I can edit it. I can add different kinds of shapes. So sometimes some of you send me emails, and this is basically how I do it. If I'm trying to show you something, is I'll make a little box here that I want to point out. This is where you got to click. I might put some arrows around it. Do all kinds of stuff. Add some text. Click here. Let's change the font color. Let's change it to red. There we go. All kinds of stuff. So you got quite a few different annotation tools on here. And then once you're done with it, you can hit done. Or if you don't like what you did, you can hit revert. Or if you just want to get rid of it, you can just click trash, and away it goes. So that's Mac OS. Windows 10, I actually can't really show you because I don't have access to a Windows device. And hopefully these are accurate, because this is what the Encyclopedia of Google told me. To take a full screenshot, it will you want to use the Windows key and the print screen key on your keyboard, which depending on what kind of device you have, it might show up in a different place. And then it actually, what it'll do is it will save the screenshot in your pictures folder. You'll have to open the file explorer and then go to your pictures folder, and it will make a folder called screenshots, and then that's where you'll find it. And then a partial one is the Windows key plus Shift plus the letter S. And from what I looked up, it doesn't save. If you do a partial screenshot, it doesn't save it to anywhere, but it copies it onto your clipboard. So if you open up another program, or you open like a Google Doc tab or something, you can use Control-V to paste it into there. So that's Windows as far as I know. I think also this bottom one here, from what I read, the Windows key Shift S, I think that's a very recent addition that you might have to update your version of Windows 10 if you don't have it. There's also a there's a screen grabber program, and I think it's called Snipper Tool. If you're on Windows 10 or Windows 7 will also do it. You'll have to just search for it in your start menu. So, but again, I don't have access to Windows 10, so I can't show it to you on your screen. So that covers PCs for the most part. Now we're going to switch to looking at two types of tablets. One is the iPad, and the other one is going to be for Android, specifically the Samsung Galaxy Tab, which for teachers that have televisions in their classrooms, you should have gotten a Samsung Galaxy to go with that. So screenshots on iOS, let me switch what I'm showing here. Let's switch that up. There we go. So this is my iPad screen. You now see my schedule for the rest of the week. But depending on what type of device you have, because some of the newer iPads and the newer iPhones don't have this home screen button. If it does have a home screen button, then you're going to basically press and hold the home screen button with the wake sleep button, which is also called the top button. And when you do that, what you'll see is you'll see a little flash, and then kind of like with the Mac, you get that little icon in the corner that you can open up, and you can do some annotations on it, which is pretty cool. If you're on an iPad or an iPhone that doesn't have that home button, then you're actually going to use the top button or wake sleep button and the volume up button. You're going to hold those at the same time, which the volume keys are on the left side if you're on an iPhone, and it's on the right side if you're on an iPad. So depending on what type of device you have, your button combinations are a little bit different, but they'll accomplish basically the same thing. So I'm going to turn this off here. And then let me see if I can get my tablet on here. It was giving me a hard time earlier, so hopefully it works a little better. There we go. Look at that, first time. That's awesome. So this is my Galaxy Tab screen. The one caveat that I will say, and this will become more relevant later on when we talk about screen recording, is that I have an older Galaxy Tab that doesn't upgrade past Android 8. And I know that there are some newer features built in specifically into Android 10 that might make things work a little different. It's also worth noting that Samsung's version of Android is a little bit different from some other brands of Android. So if you're on a different type of tablet, like a Pixel tablet or like an LG or something along those lines, things might be a little different. So this is specifically just for the Samsung Galaxy Tab. In this case, you're going to see on the bottom of your tablet, if you're holding it in portrait mode, the home button. And then you're going to look for on the side, there's an on-off button, which is usually right above the volume buttons. And same thing, you just press them at the same time. And let's see, I think you actually have to hold, there we go. You have to hold it for about a second. It doesn't happen instantaneously as it does on the iPad. You do have to hold it for about a second. But then you'll see it kind of gives that indication. And the same thing, you get a little key down there, although it times out really quickly. So I'm going to see if I can go ahead and pull that up and do some drawing. It should open up there you go. So this is my screenshot that I just took, and I can draw with my finger, or if you have the version with the pen, you can do some cropping. So I can shrink down, because I'm sure you really wanted to know that it's 65 degrees in Augusta. And then I can save it, and I have some different share buttons as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take a pause right here to see if anyone has any questions before we move on to screen recording. Let me close that. And again, you can go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like, or again, you can use the chat or the Google form as well. So let me catch up here. Is there some other identifying method F6 for app switch? There might be some different names for it. I know that I think Google officially calls it the app switcher key. So that's just kind of the terminology that I'm using. Sometimes it might just be easier to say it's the key above the number 6. I'm not 100% sure, because like I said, I think Google officially calls it the app switcher. Mac also has an app. Yes, Mac, there's an app you can use as well for, on a Mac computer called Grab that you can use for screenshots. So that's good. I always just like to do the keyboard shortcuts because it just ends up being quicker a lot of the time. So so I just figured I'd show those. But yes, there is that. So any questions before we move on? What was the tool you mentioned? Windows. Yes, I think it's called the snippet tool. If I remember correctly, it's been so long. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Yes, Windows snipping tool. And usually you can just go into your start menu and search for it, or it's under accessories somewhere, the accessories folder.
I just put it in Cortana.
Oh, Cortana. Yeah, Cortana will do it too. Yeah, I always forget that Cortana exists. So I always forget that it's there for you to use. So thank you for reminding me of that.
You're welcome.
Anything else before we move on? All right, so we're gonna move now into screen recording. And I'll just start off by saying that I know that Mac OS has its own screen recording tool in QuickTime, and I'm not sure, but I'm sort of assuming that Windows does as well. I'm gonna specifically talk about Screencastify. I know that there have been some sessions on already, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time here on Screencastify. But the benefit of it is that if you install the extension in Chrome, you can use it on pretty much any type of computer, a Chromebook, Mac OS, Windows, Linux. If you're running a Linux computer, if it has Google Chrome on it and it's not a tablet, then you can run Screencastify. So that's why I just wanted to share that one, because it's got some universal use to it. I think also I was hearing talk that we're looking into the paid version of this, which removes the 5 limit time limit from the free version. So if we go back to my website, I have a link right here that brings you right to the extension in the Chrome Web Store. You just have to click where it says Screencastify. Oh, hey, look, Teresa, thank you for sharing that. We have the paid version. Look for instructions coming out soon. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring me right to Chrome Web Store. And it's really easy to install. You just got to hit Add to Chrome. And then you get this thing. It says, do you want to display? Yeah. Okay. Add extension. I also like, just with Google Chrome and extensions like these, because once I install it on one device, it installs on all of my devices that have Chrome, which is pretty cool. And so now it'll show you that it's installed, and it shows you where the icon is in your extensions bar. This is the extensions bar. So so it's right there, easy to find. Now, if you're using Screencastify for the first time, it's going to open a new tab for you, and you have to set it up. So you have to sign in with Google. And I like this option of automatically saving videos to Google Drive. It just, a lot of times if you're going to be sharing a video somewhere, or like in my case, I will record a tutorial in Screencastify and then post on my website. Those videos are coming straight from Google Drive. So it just saves me that step of having to go in and then upload it, which is really helpful. So I recommend keeping that checked. Obviously they recommend it too. So I'm going to sign in with Google, and it should, because I'm already logged into the browser, should be easy. You have to set your permissions. Obviously, you're going to need to be able to use the camera and microphone. And it comes with drawing and annotation tools too, which can be really helpful. So I'm going to click next. And again, because it's asking for these permissions, it's going to want you to allow. And so I've got that. And then I get confetti, because who doesn't like confetti? And then I can close that. And now if I want to go to record a video, I can choose whether I want to record my entire screen, if I want to do just a browser tab, if I want to do webcam only. So you can do webcam only if you want. You can also embed your webcam in your video. And then you can, if it doesn't select it for you automatically, you can select which device you're going to use to record and which device you're going to use for your camera. I'm seeing in the chat about having audio options not fully available on Mac or Screencastify. I'm not sure what the issue could be there, because I'm not seeing that I have that issue. So thank you for sharing that. And I might have to dig in a little bit more, because like I said, I have not experienced any audio issues with Screencastify.
Jeff, can you click the more options?
Yes.
Do you see how you have show, and you're on the desktop, right?
Yes.
If you're in a Chrome, what are you using right now? What's your device?
It's a MacBook Pro.
Okay, so my MacBook Pro, there's another option there to use full audio with the tabs. And you can, so if you click over to the browser tab,
Yeah.
you'll see that it has tab audio.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But if you click to the desktop,
yeah,
anybody on a Chrome device is going to see full audio, and that's not yet available for MacBooks.
Oh, yes. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes, and that is because of how Mac OS is designed. I know that I was spending a lot of time back a couple weeks ago figuring out how to route system audio into Google Meet, and I had to install like an application, and you have to like output it as a microphone input back in, and it has a lot to do with the design of Mac OS and how they kind of lock things down. So that may have a resolution, it may not, I'm not sure.
I found it had to be an add-on as well when I was using it a couple of weeks ago too. So I think Mac is just shutting it out, and maybe they'll correct it, or we might need to help. It was fairly technical to add that add-on. So we may need to help the Mac users with that, with Screencastify.
Yeah, it is one of those things. I do wonder if you're just using your built-in microphone on your laptop, how well it might pick up the sound from the speakers anyway. I haven't tested that out, but yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because I had forgotten how Apple kind of locks you out. I'm not sure that it will even have a resolution per se, but if you're on a Mac, you do have other options as well. Notably QuickTime you can use to record your screen. Settings, I don't really have to play with any of those. I kind of keep those the way they are. Having the countdown is nice too, because it kind of gives you time to get set and get ready. And then show your drawing tools, which those show up in your bottom left corner as you're doing your video. So I can press record, and bring my camera over in here. Which screen do I want to record? We're going to record the second one, and I'm getting a couple of beeps, and now it is recording. And so you can see my video in the bottom right as I'm recording the video. You can see that, you can drag this around too, just so you know. You can move it, just click and drag. You can press the X to close it out. If you wanted to pause the video, you can just hit pause right here. There's your pencil tool, so we can start drawing stuff. Why not? There's your eraser tool, because I didn't actually want that. All kinds of different stuff. Another thing too, actually, that's really helpful, under your mouse pointer, by default, it says highlight clicks. So you don't see it here, but in the video version of it, when you click on something, you'll see a little circle form around your cursor to kind of indicate that that's where you click. So that's another little tool that can make it easier to follow your video. You can turn it off if you want, or I think, yeah, you can turn it off. You can also say hide cursor when not moved. So you got a couple of different options. And then when I'm done, I can just go right up to the extension bar and find the icon. You can see that's got that red circle, means it's recording. And then I can hit stop if I'm done and I'm happy with it. I can hit pause again. And then also this one, like if I did a take and I completely messed it up, then I can just hit the trash can icon and try to record again. So we'll hit stop. And you'll see once it does that, that it opens a new tab and it brings you to your video page. You can take the tour if you want. It'll show you the progress in terms of saving to Google Drive, which is always nice. I'm going to skip the tour. You also have some different options too, because usually there's a little bit of a delay between when it starts recording and you actually start doing your video. So you can trim off the ends if you want. Another thing too that I was just playing around with is you can export the video in different formats. So you can export it as an MP4, which is a pretty standard video file. You can export just the audio if you want, or you can export animated GIFs. So sometimes what I want to do is I want to just do a quick video of my screen of doing something that someone is asking me how to do. But I don't want to go through the process of making a video or sending a big file to somebody. So I can take that and just export the GIF, which it doesn't have any audio with it. And then I can actually upload that right into an email message. And it'll just be right there of like, here's what you need to do. And then there's the GIF of me doing it as an example. So that's pretty cool. Can you cut in the middle, like say you sneeze or start coughing and cut that part out? So one thing about, so this is the free version. So I know that Teresa mentioned that the paid version is coming. There is a video editor. So right up here where it says open an editor, that's a paid function in Screencastify. So once we have access to the paid version, I can probably show a little bit more, and maybe I'll do some video tutorials about that. So I would dare say you might be able to with the paid version, but in the free version, unfortunately, you're only able to basically trim your beginning and end. You're not really able to do any editing in the middle. No problem. Thank you for asking that question. That was a really good question. For those of you using Google Classroom, share to Classroom. There's a one-step or one-click button to get it into Classroom, which is pretty cool. You've got all kinds of different things. Send in an email, generate QR code. Also up here, because obviously this is a really nondescript name that would be hard to find later. So you can just click right up in here and change the name, and it will update it automatically in Google Drive. When it saves to Google Drive, it makes a folder called Screencastify, and then all of your videos are in there. You can move those videos around anywhere you want. It won't affect anything. You can share those videos. You can make them public. You can do whatever you want with them. So like I said, I use Screencastify a lot for making tutorials, and I basically just get them into Google Drive, share them, and then embed them on my website. So pretty simple overall. Sorry, I keep losing my connection. So if you're having a hard time with the Zoom connection, it might work better to view through the live stream, the YouTube live stream that I have on my page instead. And real quick, I'll just put the link in the chat one more time. The YouTube stream will use a lot less data. So if it's a connection issue, the YouTube will stream will be a little bit less intensive on your internet connection than a Zoom call will. So, so hopefully try that and see if that helps, because obviously besides that, I'm not sure what it could be. So let's, yeah. So any other questions about Screencastify before I move on to the next one? I keep checking those Google form questions. I'm keep checking the chat. Thank you everybody for asking questions. I know it's hard to do a super hands-on training with a group this large, but hopefully I'm able to answer some of your questions here. I'll take a drink. All right. So the next thing we're going to move on. This is a tool that's going to be geared specifically towards the pre-K to 2, because as we've talked about, that Seesaw is our kind of our learning platform at that grade span. This is relatively new. I'm not sure when they came out with this. It was earlier in the school year, but Seesaw actually has their own extension for capturing, actually, I guess this is more for screenshots and screen recording. I should have put it in the previous one, but we'll talk about it here anyway. Called Reflect in Seesaw. And again, the link's right on my website. You can just click on it. It'll bring you right to the web store. I already have it installed, so it says remove from Chrome. I don't want to. If you don't have it installed, it'll say add to Chrome. And then once you have it installed, then it's pretty simple. There's the icon right there. You can see it's the little Seesaw icon, and it'll say post to Seesaw if you hover your cursor over it. And then when I click on it, it says, do I want to capture a visible area or a selected area? So it's kind of talking about that distinction before between like a whole screen screenshot and a partial screen screenshot. So, so I'm just going to capture a selected area. And then let's say I wanted to capture this survey. So very much like capturing a screenshot with your keyboard shortcuts on your devices, you get a little cursor, you select the area you want to take. And then from there, it opens Seesaw, which you do want to be logged in before you do this, because sometimes through the process of logging in, it like dumps your screenshot and just brings you to the home screen instead. So you do want to make sure you're logged into Seesaw beforehand. But then after that, you've got all of your same familiar annotation tools that you would have for just anything else that you would upload into Seesaw. So you've got your text tool that you can type stuff into. I am very creative with my text boxes. You can record audio. You can take a picture. You can add a shape. I really want to draw attention to my very creative text box here. So all kinds of stuff. You got your drawing tools on the bottom, your pencil, color pencil, highlighter. So again, you got all kinds of stuff that you can do. And then you just hit your green check mark, and you decide where you want it to go, which class. If you want to share it with individual students, you can do that. And then we'll share it with all of our students. I'll hit the checkbox. If you have it set up to ask which folder you want to put it in, which I covered in my previous Seesaw training. So I can go math, because that's clearly a math skill or a math activity. And then submit, and it uploads it. And you'll see that now it's in the journal. So really, really simple extension. It doesn't try to do too much. It takes a screenshot and then puts it in the Seesaw for you to annotate. Again, pretty simple overall there. Any questions real quick on this before we pop over to my iPad? But again, feel free to turn your microphone on if you have any particular question. And I need to, hold on just a second. someone spamming me with text messages, so I want to try to make sure that those don't show up when I connect my iPad here. Why did that move over? All right, so let me go ahead now and get connected here. Good. All right, so there's my iPad screen. And for a while now, Apple has had a screen recording feature in iOS, but it's something that you kind of have to make available for you to see before you can actually use it. What we're actually going to want to do is set it up so that there's a button, a screen recording button in our control center. And control center on an iPad is when you take with one finger and you swipe down from the top right corner of your screen. So you get something that looks like this. So this is the control center. This is also where you would, if you have an Apple TV that you would use to connect. I've got some other different buttons. Sometimes if your Wi-Fi isn't working, you just come in here real quick and turn that off and turn it back on, or pop on airplane mode and turn it off. If you're playing music or podcasts, there's all kinds of different things you can add here. But one of the buttons that you can add is for screen recording. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to look for the settings app, which is the little gear thing right here. I never quite know what to call it, but it's there. And then in settings on the left side, we're going to look for where it says Control Center. And then in the middle of our screen, we're going to look for where it says Customize Controls. So I press Customize Controls. And then you can see that I have a couple that I've turned on already, like a timer, notes, camera, QR code reader. And then there's a whole other big list of even more you can add, like Apple TV remote or alarm or magnifier, stopwatch. There's all kinds of accessibility shortcuts you can add. But about 2/3 of the way to the bottom, there's one for screen recording. And all you have to do is just hit the plus. And then now it shows up on your list of ones that are included. And you'll notice that now when I swipe down from the top right of my screen, you'll now see that this button right here is your screen record button, which because I'm connected to my Apple TV, or I'm connected to my computer, I don't think it's gonna let me screen record at the same time. But very simply, when you press that button, it's gonna count you down from 3 down to 0, and then you're recording, and you just have to basically press your home screen or get to your home screen and go to whatever you wanted to record and let it do its thing. And then to stop, you would just come right back in here and press that button again to make it stop. And then it saves in your camera roll with the rest of the, or your Photos app with the rest of the pictures and videos that you would be taking. So that's screen recording on an iPad. Again, there's that initial setup of getting the screen record to show up in your control center. But once you've done that, it's very simple, just swiping down and pressing the button. Any questions on this before we get to our last topic here? All right, so we have one more to cover, and this is again where I kind of use my caveat of I'm running an older Samsung tablet that is, let me move all of my devices aside, that is limited to running on Android 8 or Samsung's version of Android 8. There we go. I'm seeing a question here real quick. Is there a time limit for recording with Screencapturing? So again, this is a free versus pro version. In the free version, the limit is 5 minutes. With the paid version that said that we're getting, it will be unlimited. Personally, I actually like the 5-minute time limit. I think that particularly when we're doing tutorial videos or those kind of things, we need to keep in mind kind of the attention span of our viewers, and you know, it's going to be hard to get someone to sit through a 20 or 30-minute video. I always kind of like to bring up that, you know, like if you go on YouTube, the vast majority of videos are in like the 4 to 5 minute range, and that's just basically because the analytics and things that YouTube creators have access to basically show that right after that time is when people kind of close the tab and tune out. So I actually don't mind having a time limit. I think it's kind of a good way to sort of keep us focused and maybe even like chunk a little bit of what we're explaining and do it in multiple videos, which might make it a little bit more digestible for our students and certainly from my standpoint for teachers who are trying to learn how to do different things. So so thank you for that question. But yes, in the paid version, it will be unlimited. So on Android, so as I said, I'm running on an older version of Android. The newest version is Android 10, and the newest version also has a built-in screen recording function that previous versions do not have. So obviously, because I'm on an older version, I can't show that. If you're on a newer one that has Android 10, you're certainly welcome to use that. But the tool that I'm going to show should be able to work with whatever version of Android that you're using. And that happens to be called Screencapturing. You'll have to go into your Google Play Store to find it and download it and install it. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go into the Play Store. And I'm just going to search for Screen. You can see I was searching for a whole bunch of different ones before I found one that I wanted to show. Screencast, but there's one right there, Screencast-O-Matic. I'm going to press that, and it brings me right to it. So this is the one. It's just got the blue dot with the blue outer circle. That's the one you want. There's a lot of different screen recorder tools. If you have one that you like the looks of more, certainly you're welcome to use it. For me, the reason why I want to use this one is A, it doesn't have any ads, which a lot of the other ones do, and B, it gives me the ability to record video and audio, whereas some of the other ones that I found, the audio piece tends to be like an add-on that you have to pay for. So this kind of gave me everything that I wanted in a free app with no potentially inappropriate ads, as Android apps kind of have a way of having sometimes. So I'm going to install, and we'll give it a minute to download here. Hopefully my connection here is good. I'm upstairs from my router, so sometimes it cuts out, but it looks like I've had a pretty stable connection during this, so that's good. So it's installing. I'll give it a minute. There we go. So it's installed, and it adds a shortcut onto the home screen. I do have to swipe over one to get there, but right there is Screencast-O-Matic. Another thing, actually, now that I mention it, another reason why I actually like using this too, and I'm going to open the app and you'll see why, is that it gives you a little thing that you can add into the top of your notification screen or something, that you can just like swipe down and just hit the record button. You don't have to like go into the app to press record, but you can also allow overlay controls. I'll show what those are here. Just press that, and then it will bring us to settings. We do have to go and flip that real quick, and then I can switch to go back in here. Obviously, we're going to want to hit allow, or else it's not going to be able to save anything. And those are some test videos that I took from earlier. And then one thing I haven't seen where it's been unchecked, but just to make sure, I go into settings, which is right here, and then I just want to make sure that that slider is on for record microphone. I think it's supposed to be by default, but just in case it isn't, you might want to have that there. There's also an option for hiding controls or recording. I tend to want to keep those just to make it easier to get to them when I'm done with the video. And then when I press the home screen and get out of this app, you'll see that it adds this button right here. And those are the overlay controls that it asks us to allow. And so I just can press right on that. And then I have the option of just hitting the record button right there. Also, again, from the top, from your notifications, if you swipe down from the top, you'll also get, let's go, okay. You'll also get this little toolbar here too, that you can hit record, or you can exit if you want to, if you don't want it there, but you can do that. And it's pretty simple to use. So I can press the Screencast-O-Matic button, I can press record, and I do want it to record audio. And then these prompts you only have to do the first time because it's needing permission from the device to do these things. Screencast-O-Matic will capture everything that's displayed on your screen. I don't want to see that a second time, so I'm just going to press don't show again and hit start now. Just like with other programs, I get a timer, and then now I'm recording. So just like with the iPad, it had to disconnect me from what was going on so it can record. But you'll just have to take my word from it that the same place that I pressed to go and record, I can just press on it again. It actually has a running timer telling me how long it's been recording, and I can just hit a stop button. If you swipe the blue dot next to the X, how can you get it back next time you do want to record? I think you just have to go find the Screencast-O-Matic app again and then just open it. So let me get reconnected here, and we'll test that out. There we go. So I just recorded a video, and once you're done, it brings you to that video so you can see it. You have the option to save down in this corner. You have the option to delete in this corner. You can do some trimming too. You've got these playheads here. Your in playhead and your out playhead. And I can just drag these with my finger if I want to take a certain piece out, or like I said, there's usually like a couple of seconds of delay between when you start recording and you actually start doing what you're doing. And then I can hit save. Let's go save the video. Might take a minute. Might take more than a minute. We'll see. Let's go in here. Let's try in. All right, very good. So your question was if you hit the X and that goes, if you swipe the blue dot to the X, are we talking from the side? Yeah, so if I go and exit the app, it's interesting that it doesn't go away from me. I'm not sure what's going on your end. But if I just open Screencast-O-Matic again, like that top toolbar, it just shows up. So I think if it goes away, then you should be able to do it. Any other questions? Oh, actually, one more thing I wanted to show with this is, so once you have your video, you have a couple of things that you can do with it once it's saved. You can come back in, and then in the bottom left corner, now that it's saved, now it's a share button. So I can press on that, and then which way do you want to share? I'm going to go more. Screencast-O-Matic, it brings you to their website, and you can sign up for an account and upload stuff there, but I'd rather use more, because then that gives me the option of uploading to Google Drive, or sending it in an email, or sending to my Seesaw class, or any one of those different options I can use to send my video somewhere else that I want it to go. So, so just again to cover that, you go into the app, you find the video, and then you press that share button, and then you hit more. And then you can choose where you want it to go. You can have a lot of different options. If you want to get rid of videos, you can go in individually. You can press that trash can in the bottom right. Can you name each video? That is a good question, because I haven't even tried that. Let me check and see where I might do that. So I'm not seeing the ability to name each video, but I think that when, let's say if I wanted to upload it to Google Drive, that once it's in Google Drive, I could rename it there instead. What if I press up here? Yeah, because it doesn't even look like per se that it has like a name for it, more than just like, it just names it with the timestamp of like what date you took it and what time. So I'm not seeing a way from in here. But like I said, if you put it into Google Drive, you can rename it there instead. Also, if I hit select, I can select individual videos. Because again, these are all test videos and I don't need the same, I don't need to see all of these. Then I can just select them all and I can hit the trash can. I can try to hit the trash can. There, oh, there we go. And hit delete, and now they're all gone. So don't have to deal with those anymore.